Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Alam and I am a research fellow at the Institute of Social and Policy Sciences. Today I'll talk about education budgets in Pakistan with a focus on the recently presented federal and provincial budgets for 2020-21. As we know that the federal and provincial governments have announced their budgets for the upcoming financial year during the last week, it was envisaged that education might become a low priority area amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, the World Bank had forecasted that the education budgets might be shrink to around 10% as governments reprioritize their funding for health. However, this does not seem to be the case as we look at the budgets allocated for 2020-21. I-SAPS analyzes the education budgets at national, federal, provincial levels each year for the furtherance of debate and discourse on education financing in Pakistan. This year also, our team has reviewed the education budgets in order to know what has been allocated for education, what is the percentage share of education budget in provincial budgets, and what is the increase or decrease in comparison with the budgets allocated for the previous years. For 2020-21, a total of 1,063 billion rupees have been allocated for education. This represents an increase of 7% over the allocated budget of 993 billion for the last financial year. In absolute terms, this increase is rupees 70 billion. The increase in education budget is varied. If we look at the federal and provincial budgets, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government, for example, has increased its budget by 16% in comparison with the previous year. On the other hand, the government of Punjab has increased its education budget by 2% if we compare it with the allocation for the previous financial year. As per our international commitments, education should receive around 20% of the provincial budgets. The combined education budget of the provinces is 20% of the total budget in 2020-21. This year, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government has allocated 23% of its total provincial budget for education. It is followed by Sindh with a 20% allocation and followed by Punjab and Balochistan with 19% of their budgets allocated for education in 2020-21. Although education budgets have consistently increased and also Pakistan's education indicators have shown improvement over the years, we are still faced with huge challenges of access, quality and equity in education. It seems obvious that the education challenge faced by Pakistan is not limited to the lack of budgets only, as each year we see an incline in the absolute numbers. The challenge is also significantly linked with the way public financing is planned, managed, executed and monitored. Some of the considerable issues in this context include inefficiency in allocation of budgets, inequitable distribution of resources at the local levels, insufficient allocation compared with the actual needs, lower development budgets, untimely fiscal flows, huge administrative expenditure and lack of transparency, etc. So all the above challenges have become more crucial in the current situation where we are facing huge implications of the COVID pandemic in the form of economic and social as well as potential costs of lost learning. It is important that a strong link is established between policy provisions, education data and the budgetary allocations. We also need to ensure allocative efficiency and equity while allocating and spending our budgets. Citizens, civil society actors and public representatives should also be capacitated and provided avenues for participating in the complete budget cycle, including its planning and monitoring. This is apt time that we rethink education financing and introduce efficiency, effectiveness and innovations in the education budget so that each rupee spent on education provides the best value. Thank you so much.